Alright, what's going on with you? You know what time it is? You know what rhyme it is. Alright, so basically, before we begin, as usual, if you could like, subscribe, hit the comment button, and leave a comment in the comment section about today's topics, then that'd be great. So basically, I'm gonna expound off of one of my other videos. I think it was the last video I made where I had an opinion about the whole Jay-Z situation, and then a couple other things too. So with this whole Jay-Z thing, man, it appears as if I was incorrect. I was personally giving this man a benefit of the doubt, given his excellent track record of doing things for the black community. You know, I've already talked about some of the things he's done with the lawyers he's gotten for some of the rappers that got hemmed up and got in trouble and stuff like that. And then I've done it, I've actually read about things he's done in terms of the whole Baltimore situation in Ferguson. A lot of protesters got bailed out of jail by him and Beyonce. I mean, dude's done a lot of good stuff, man, but I mean, at this point, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say that was a very, very non-productive move with siding with the enemy in the NFL, especially when the enemy is so clearly defined. Colin Kaepernick still without a job. You know, he's not gonna get a job, it looks like, at this. Well, it's been looked like he's not gonna get a job. But I mean, I think I was expecting maybe a deal to be put together by Jay or something. I figured the NFL was desperate enough to do so. Doesn't appear that way, man. It appears to me as if dude made a decision that was based over money instead of morals. So I think it was a bad move, man. You know, I think it was well, depends on how you look at it. If people say Jay-Z's not a sellout, he's a capitalist. I mean, here's the thing though, like at the end of the day, we're all playing the same game and there's no escaping that game. You can't not be something that you are. It is what it is. And in this case, it's black. So with that said, I mean, like I said, man, with all the moves he made in history, I gave dude the benefit of the doubt. But this looked like a bad move in terms of you know, social justice or you know, racial justice. Really, let's call it what it is. You know, black empowerment, racial justice. So it is what it is on that one, I guess. You know, I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt if they've done good before, but it doesn't look like this was a good decision for all the past decisions he had made. But I mean, he'll make a shitload of money, so I guess to him that justifies it. Whatever. Moving on. As far as the news goes, I heard there's a fire going on in Brazil, man. The Amazon is on fire, like the Amazon jungle. I think it's the biggest jungle in the world. Somebody said it was like 20% of the air in the world came from the Amazon because there's so many trees. I don't know how true that is, but I mean, they were saying it's basically Earth's lungs because so much oxygen comes from the that part of the jungle. And goddamn, man, like this, things are getting like they've been out of hand, but goddamn, like, did anybody ever stop and wonder, like, yo, where is this gonna take us, man? Because you got people tearing down trees and shit like that, and you got people doing all, and I heard the fires were set on purpose so people could like put more cattle land and shit like that. And I don't know, man, like, yo, well, where is this shit all gonna take us, man? Like, if you ever stop and think, like, yo, 100 years into the future, with shit like this happening now, what is the future gonna look like in 100 years? I don't even think some of these people give a shit because they're not gonna be here, but their kids are gonna be here. So I don't know, man. I think that's something people need to consider, but it's a little late now for that shit. But that's completely fucked up. If people are literally setting trees on fire to make space for cattle or whatever the fuck they're setting it on fire for, that is completely absurd. Completely absurd, dude. The hell, that's some crazy shit, man. And people are denying global warming and shit like that. Man, all I know is this, man. Like, yo, the weather has been topsy-turvy. We've had the most weirdest weather in terms of, like, some days. Like, when I was younger, I don't even remember in the early 90s. Yo, I think there was, like, one time maybe I saw, like, sun and rain at the same time. Like, yo, I literally have seen in the last 2 weeks about 7 days. Yeah, 7 days collectively where it's been raining and sun at the same time. Like, I literally looked in the sky and it was sun and it was raining. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's just some weird shit, man. Like, usually you see the clouds blocking out the sun, but it's been both. Like, super sunny outside where, like, you can get a tan, but yet you're getting hit by water. Like, weird shit, man. I don't know. Shit is very out of place. It feels like, man. And I was actually doing some research on YouTube and a few other channels about they got something called the simulation theory. If you haven't heard it, it's pretty interesting, man. And me personally, I'm a huge guy of conspiracies and shit like that. So I like reading into this kind of shit. But I kind of feel like this shit. These guys have an excellent point, man. They were talking about the simulation theory. Basically says that our reality is a simulation. It's kind of like based on what the Matrix, the thoughts the Matrix brought forth, where like, yo, this is a simulation, and this simulation, reality is actually a simulation, and it was actually started by whatever, what people would call God. Like, it could be a computer, or it could be like alien species, I don't know, it could be whatever. But they were basically saying that different evidences of such were, like, if you look at the way mathematics were, you can figure out anything from the right mathematical equation. And they were like, yo, for that to be the case, there would have to be some kind of like huge value or numbers or numerical order in reality. And they were like, yo, the only thing that really can point to that we have, that we can base it off of, is like computers, or like virtual reality, or like a simulation. With a simulation like The Sims, they were saying, like, you run a certain amount of numbers in a certain pattern, the Sims will do whatever the fuck you tell them to do, whatever equation you put in. So like, they were saying, yo, this could very well be our simulated reality, man. They were like, what happens when you die? Well, basically the consciousness gets reset, but like probably in another body. So they were talking about like rejuvenation, or what is it, reincarnation or something like that. I don't know. It's deep, man. It's very deep, but very interesting read, man. I highly suggest checking it out if you're into that kind of stuff. If you have an open mind, definitely check it out, man. Because it would be it'd be interesting if everything was a simulation. But they were like, yo, really? Like, if it were a simulation, are we allowed to know we're in a simulation? But see, that's the thing. They were saying, like, you don't actually know, you suspect you are. They're like, it's just a very advanced version where you're able to think about stuff like this. And they were like, yo, the world could very well be a large multiplayer game. Like, yo, that's fucking, that is crazy. And if you play like a game like Grand Theft Auto and shit like that, where you can, once you get in like jacking or whatever, you can do like literally whatever the fuck you want. You can live whatever kind of life you want. You could be like a thrill seeker that jumps out of airplanes. You could be a criminal. You could be a street racer. Like, there's a hell of stuff you can do, man. It's like limitless. You could be a gun collector and shit, or some guy that just shoots guns at the range. It's crazy. It's like endless. So I mean, yeah, it's just I think that's an interesting theory, and I'm excited to see where it goes in terms of developments. And they were also using the fact that I don't have much time left. They were also using the fact that I think there was a scientific experiment done about 5 years ago where they were like, somehow they were shooting particles through like a hole or something like that, from what I remember. And they were saying, like, when they observed, they were trying to see if they can get like the two to split into the one to split into two. I can't remember exactly how it went, but they were basically saying what happened was, like, yo, when they would look away, like, it would do something differently. It would leave a different pattern. But when they would look at it, it would do something completely different, as if it knew it was being observed. And they were like, it's astounding, because they tried not looking directly at it, and they tried to use like a computer camera or what have you to look at it, but it knew it was being observed by a computer camera too. It's very interesting. I can't remember what that shit's called, yo, but if you can find like the fucking molecular structure, whatever they did, it was some kind of experiment they had done with like atoms or molecular structure. But if you can find it, definitely look that up, because that was interesting. And they were saying like, yo, this reality could very well be based on the same thing. So what do you guys think, man, about all this stuff? What do you think is going on with the rainforest, and what do you think about the Jay-Z situation with simulated reality theory? What do you feel like it pertains to, or if you think it's even valid? Let me know in the comment section. Meanwhile, I'm out of time, so I will holler at you guys on the next one. Peace out.